Hi everyone, welcome back to Spirit Lounge and the next installment of the Nag Hammadi Scriptures. Today I hope you find it interesting. It's very much into Gnosticism today. Although the book is a mixture of Gnosticism, early Christianity, some Greek philosophy and some Jewish wisdom, philosophy rather than wisdom. That implies that there is no wisdom elsewhere, so I won't use that because there is. So let's move into this. I found it quite an interesting section, chapter and phrases, so I hope you find it interesting too. And there's a lot of this narrative we can talk around what we're going to see today. So let's just jump straight into the PowerPoint presentation now. Okay, so the chapter is called Authoritative Discourse. So what this effectively is, it's a discourse from the passage of the metaphorical body, but it's the passage actually from the spirit, from the divine thought and the breath, coming into body, and the transformation that this spirit is experiencing, or the soul is experiencing, with the duality and the attachment to the physical, and then its re-emergence back into the divine space, which is what I've been repeating on this channel, is actually the test for us all. We all want to know what our challenges are. The challenge that we all have, and the only challenge that we all have, is actually to look deeply at the image that we see in the mirror. There is nowhere else that we need to look, because that is the only place where the issue that we feel exists. And that what this is referring to is asking us to look at that image in the mirror and to see where we have devolved from or detached from our spiritual selves. It talks about spirit and soul. Now for me, there is nothing else but your spirit. Although if we go into the more esoteric practices and philosophies, the body is separated into many layers of body. The energetic body, the etheric body, the mind body, the physical body, all those kinds of things, the psychical body. I may do a video after this just so we can go run through what those are and the principles about those. And one of the actually philosophers of history who went through those, and they're actually in my book as well, if you want to look at that on the soft copy. I'm going to be releasing an advert on that soon, because I may be just offering the soft copy or the electronic copy for its cost, whatever Amazon charge you'll pay. Okay, so we'll go into that now in the first chapter. So the first section is the origin of the soul is from above. So in heaven, in him, anyone appears, the hidden heavens, before the invisible, ineffable. The ineffable means too great to be expressed, so they call the divine ineffable, undescribable, inscrutable. Worlds appear, same the invisible soul, one member with them, one body with them, one spirit with them. She is coming down in the realm of fullness. She's not apart. They see her, she looks at them. So this is effectively saying the she is the infinite spirit, if we like, because the spirit is regarded as feminine, although it's a balanced duality of all. But in the Gnostics, it's regarded as she. You can even look at the she or as also a being in the story. So this is what it's basically saying, that the soul or the spirit is from the heavens. It is not apart from the heavens. It's a member of all of that exists in the heavens, or what we call the divine space. It's not apart from them. It is in the realm of fullness, which is the divine. And she looks at them because they look at her. We are all in one space. Okay, the next section is the word is like food and medicine for the soul. Her bridegroom, now the bridegroom in this instance is the spirit itself. Obtain the word. The word is divinity and energy. So the Spirit is the word. The word is divinity, is the divine word, the divine knowledge, the divine presence, the divine fullness. She put it in her mouth to make her eat it like food. In other words, make the being remember the Spirit. Applied it to her eyes like medicine to make her see. To make her remember who are the kin of her, to learn of her root, to hold onto the branch from which she came, and to renounce matter. So we've moved from the first section, which was the Spirit, talking about the Spirit and its oneness with everything, and it's where its origin truly is. And your Spirit's origin is always in that place, and your core never ever leaves. A fractal of our core thought breath of the divine exists within us. And there's a golden thread always to our source, our place of rest. What we do with this fractal and the illusion we place this fractal in is our choice, and we'll read about this later in this chapter. And this is so we move on to here where there's a feminine. The Spirit is feminine and the being is feminine in this particular instance. Okay, the next one. The soul is like a child among stepchildren. When the spiritual soul is cast into a body, it became a sibling to lust, hatred, and envy. To material souls, it became a material soul. The body came from lust. Lust came from material substance. Why the soul became a sibling? It is why the soul became a sibling. So this is effectively saying when the spirit itself enters the body, because the body is our own manifestation, really. We create the body as a map to what the experience is going to be for us, and we enter it. But this is effectively saying we enter the material space, and we quickly remember the period of when this was written doesn't always necessarily apply to now, but we are attracted to different material pleasures. In those times it was very lustful, hatred, envy, money, greed, which is the same as today but in different forms, some hidden, some obvious, some not so hidden. And it's saying the body came from lust, or rather that could be interpreted as we are lustful to the body or for the body. The lust came from material substance. Yes, it's a material experience, it's a material leaning if we choose to have that. And why the soul became a sibling. So it's saying here the spirit becomes a child to the body, rather than the body becomes a vessel of the spirit. Yet they are stepchildren, equal, unable to inherit from the male but from the mother. The mother is the spirit in this case, so we're supposed to inherit from the mother. Instead, we inherit from the male, which is regarded as the body. When the soul wishes to inherit along with the stepchildren, exalted passions, life pleasures. So it's saying when we choose to inherit from the stepchildren in this regard is actually the body, the material. We move toward exalted passions, life's pleasures. A soul who is ignorant chooses a spirit of prostitution. This means that not necessarily prostituting ourselves in the physical sense. When we move away from the spirit, we are then exposing our pure divinity to material experiences that our surface ego selves or the soul essence of us, which I believe, for me, the soul is just the energy body, the vessel itself, the energy spectrum and the layers of the body. That is the soul. The spirit is the soul if you want, but if you want to, in this case, they're separating it. We can call it the spirit from is the divine, and the soul is the body for me. So we express prostitution through the material attachment, and the spirit then experiences that. He casts her out and throws her into a brothel. It's a metaphor for illusion and the material force, misplaced force of the physical. We abandon modesty. Death and life are placed before everyone. People choose, of course, free will. The soul forgets her siblings. In other words, the spirit forgets the divinity of her all, of its beginning, middle and end, which is the Father's space, the divine space. And her father, sensual pleasures did deceive her, and they abandoned knowledge. They've fallen into the life of an animal, devoid of sense. A gentle child inherits with joy from the father. The father rejoices over the child. The child looks to duplicate what was received. What that basically means that once we know our divinity, once we really become that, we find it implicit upon ourselves to share that joy with others, share those teachings with others, which is in a way what I am doing with you guys on this channel and the videos that I create. Okay, next, this is like wheat mixed with chaff. There was a preceding section to this, a little few sentences, but it's actually saying people go to the store and ask for chaff, and they say, for if chaff is mixed with wheat, it is not the chaff that is contaminated, but is the wheat. They will see the wheat mixed with it. They will take the chaff and throw it out with the rest. With all the other material stuff, pure seed is kept in a storehouse that are secure. This is all metaphorical. It's effectively saying that within the material space there are those who choose light, and there are those who choose dark or material attachments to become purely physical material bodies, physical beings. And the chaff, that is what's regarded as chaff in this particular passage. And the wheat is regarded as those of spiritual recognition and spiritual awareness who are moving towards the divinity of themselves. And so this is where the contamination comes in. Okay, the Father establishes a content in the world, a contest, in the world, not content. Apologize. And I'm going to make a video on this. I'll expand upon it a little bit now, but I'll make a video on it because this is actually what's happening in the universal truth of things. And let me just read this first. Before anything was the Father alone existed. Absolutely true. Before world on earth, before the authorities or the powers, nothing came to be without the Father's will. Yes and no. It came to be because the universe is a thought expression. We are a thought expression of the divine grace. And the divine grace within the universal law that I've gone through a few times in the past is infinite possibility. Within this universe, we can manifest whatever it is we choose. Remember the previous passage in this section. We choose. It's free will. We are responsible for manifesting what is infinitely possible. So because it's within the infinite possibility of what is, it is implicitly within the Father's will. But it's not in the Father's will that the Father imposes it on you. We impose it on ourselves by manifesting it through the will of infinite possibility, or the theatre in which the divine allows us to create what we wish to create. So remember that. It's critical. This universe and this earth plane is an experiment. And we'll go on to this in a moment. Universal laws. Father wished to reveal his wealth and his glory through free will and infinite possibility granted to us. He established a great contest in this world. Yes, there is a great contest in this world. It's an experiment. Yes, but it's not a determined plan, but free will. It's an experiment to observe the will of the breath of spirit and thought. What does this mean? What this means is that the universe, the world, the earth, humanity as a species, all of the life out there, remember it's not just us. The contest here is, what will we choose? Will we choose light, or will we choose non-light? Will we choose to attach to the pleasures of the physical, or will we choose to, in one lifetime, one incarnation of many lives which are imposed by ourselves, will we continue to go down the dark, or will we one day see light and then move towards moving ourselves towards the divine? This is where the contest is. It's a contest within ourselves. the Divine Father, the Divine Source, our all, our beginning, will always observe what we choose and give us what we choose. Many don't like this truth because it's uncomfortable for them to see and hear it, because it means that we have to take responsibility for ourselves. This is unfortunately the truth. And it's not always comfortable for people to hear, because we always like to blame things that happen upon the earth plane or to ourselves, to others or other groups or governments or institutions or the hidden cabal or the occult. They don't have power unless we choose to give them that, and we choose to forsake ourselves to it. Okay, so let's continue with this. They come up and leave what is of the created world, incomprehensible knowledge, run to the one who is, that is the divine, triumphant over the ignorance, who attend against us, known the inscrutable, that means impossible to understand, which is the Divine Father. We have nothing in this world where death is universal, surrounded by individuality. So death is universal if we choose it to be. That death in this sense, of course, as we know, means turning away from our source and to physical, and we're surrounded by individuality in that we see ourselves separate from everyone else, from the divine, from the all, and then we pursue individual goals at the behest of all others, at the sufferance of all others. Okay, next, we withdraw from the world. We now have been put to shame in the world. We ignore them when they curse us. They go about their business, and we go about in hunger and thirst. We do not hang on to created things. We withdraw from them. Our hearts are set on what truly is. We are sick and weak and in pain, but a great strength is hidden within us. That's a true statement. Okay, the world heals the soul blindness. Our soul is sick because she lives in a house of poverty. House of poverty is a world of materialism. Matter strikes her to blind her. The soul pursues the word. So this is where the physical is blinding the individual, and the her is also maybe the feminine being here, but also the spirit. That the being imposes the blindness upon the spirit. The spirit is never blind. And the soul pursues the word. So there's a choice here. There's a choice to move towards the divine at this point, and applies it to our eyes. So the spirit, what this means is the spirit is emerging. The spirit has, the being in this instance has chosen to look within and has chosen to walk towards the divine. By doing so, the spirit then emerges, and then the eyes start to see as a medicine the ignorance, and one is in ignorance once again, and then ignorance disappears. And what this next sentence is saying, a one is in ignorance once again, that one is in complete darkness. So what it's saying is, if you recover the light and then you fall back into darkness, then you are in complete darkness and become a complete material being. It's not necessarily the case, because the path to the light, to the divine, is always open to us. Her light may overwhelm the foes. She may blind them with her light, make them collapse in exhaustion. And what this effectively means is, when the light truly emerges and we persist and we become, then it will blind those who do not see the light and who wish to, they will collapse in exhaustion by trying to entice us into the material blindness. Okay, the soul finds shelter in her treasure house. Her enemies look at her in shame. She flees up to her treasure house. This is the divine space within herself. No one in creation has been able to grasp her. She has no stranger she has no stranger into her house. This is not a physical stranger. This is once you are in the house of the light, if you like, or the house of divine force, by having no stranger into her house, what this means is that, we talked about this in the previous video, when you change and the divinity is expressing itself within you. those who are not in this frequency tend to leave your life space, or your connection, your interaction with them tends to lessen, and others come in. Strangers in this case are those who are not resonating the frequency of the divine. So a person who is on a very evolutionary path will start to only resonate around people who are also on an evolutionary path. Therefore, a stranger is someone who's not on an evolutionary path and therefore doesn't step into that spiritual space. Many are born in a house, oppose her day and night, for their lust oppresses them. This is a house of a human, but also remember the spiritual, unenlightened. Remember, light is knowledge and truth, and frequency is our spiritual side. Okay, we are like fish that may be caught in nets. Do not fall asleep and forget about the nets. Hidden from view, they will catch us. It will swallow us. We shall be pulled down into the dragnet, not able to come up from the deep water. It is high above us, making our hearts sink. I remember the waters in the previous chapters. So when the demiurge looked up, he saw in the waters, the shimmering waters above, because there was a separation. There's a dense waters below, but then there was shimmering light waters above. Everything was water. But because there was lightness in water, it looked like the water was shimmering above, but actually everything was a manifestation of water. Water gives life. It's a metaphor. Most things are metaphorical. This is saying that the deep, dense water is above the heads of those who fall deep within it. We shall be consumed by man-eaters, the next section. Man-eaters, which are regarded as demiurge, archons, others, humans. Man-eaters will grab us and consume us, enjoy themselves. This is not physically consume us, although some people, we can go down that road another time, but consumers in terms of drag us into materialism. A fisherman casts different kinds of bait into the water. So this is saying there are different physical, material attractions to each of us are attracted to different things. So as we are attracted to different things, there's different bait that is thrown and cast out by the metaphorical fishermen, who are the material attracted beings who want us to fall further into the materialism. And different fish like different food. Each kind of fish has its own food. It bites the bait. Nobody can catch that fish down in the deep water. They will find a way to trap it. Down in the deep water, that effectively means out of reach from those who are in deep materialism, because that particular being has chosen to become too far and more evolved, so the reach of the material cannot find them. Okay, the adversary tries to poison us with the food of this world. The adversary is on the lookout for us, like a fisherman. You'll hear a lot of reference to fishermen in these texts. Remember, at the time, being a fisherman was a large, healthy trade. It was the time when these occupations were the mainstay of most people's lives, living along waterways, seas and rivers, fishing for food and for trade. This was the main thing around this period. So you'll find fisherman is a role or a metaphor used regularly, or used in metaphors regularly rather. Like a fisherman, many kind of fruit before our eyes, stiff of this world. When he catches us with a single kind of food, we cannot help but desire the rest of the food. Such things become food of death. I think we've talked about that enough. The devil lies in wait with food. Again, more food. The kinds of food with which the devil lies in wait for us. He plants in your heart over something trivial in this life. He introduces the desire, love of money, pride, vanity, envy, beauty of the body, to make the thought of the soul turn the soul to some kind of food. Overwhelm her. She conceives evil and bears fruit of matter, seduced in ignorance. This kind of speaks for itself. The devil is really, there's two ways we can look at this. It's real or not real. It is both. But in the instance, rather, whatever manifestation we think the devil is effectively the absence of love, the absence of empathy, but it's also misplaced divine force. So misplaced divine force causes inversion, which means turning things the other way. And when you take love and invert it, it turns to hate. You take empathy and invert it, it turns to a disregard for someone's emotions, a lack of recognition for anything but yourself. So a devil is also misplaced force. It's action. It's the opposite of love, in other words. Okay, the ignorant are more wicked than pagans. There were a lot of pagan ritual at the time, at these times, if we recall. They still exist actually now, but not in the open. Who are ignorant do not seek God, do not look for their dwelling place, the place of rest. Wicked than pagans, these people do not inquire about God. Hard-heartedness drags them down. If the person asking about salvation keeps asking, they will kill them. Even pagans give charity. Father of the universe, a father over the idols. A mindless person can hear the call, ignorant of the place to which he or she has been called. Where is the temple? Seek and inquire about the ways you should go. So what this is effectively saying is that there are those worse than pagans. Pagans kind of do follow ritualistic beliefs, but they do understand there is a divine all out there, although their worship of golden calves and cows and goats is a different way of going about it, I guess. But I won't criticize someone's way of being if this is what their energy is at this time. But it's also saying that someone of a rational mind, if you like, seeks and hears a call, but still is confused about what that call is and where to go to find the answer. Okay, the rational soul learns about God and comes to rest. The rational soul is someone who thinks logically all the time, tries to rationalize things that happen in the world. And sometimes some rational souls will think that the divine is just a figment of our minds. Okay, the rational soul has worked at seeking, has learned about God, struggled to inquire, learned about God. She has found her rising. She has come to rest. She has reclined in the bridal chamber. The bridal chamber is the place in which, when you persist and you start to become a divinity in bodily form, is a bridal chamber. It's the place in which you find and you start to evolve in. It's regarded as a bridal chamber. It's named as such in these texts. She has eaten of the banquet of knowledge, has partaken of immortal food, which again is knowledge of divine wisdom and frequency, raising one's vibration and frequency. She has sought. She has received rest from her labors. Light is shining. Light belongs to the glory, power and revelation, forever and ever. Amen. So I think that was a really interesting section. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That is the end of the passage. Oh, I thought it was the end of the passage. Let's continue. I think there's I thought that was the end of the passage. Forgive me. The next one is the soul finally eats the food of life. Soul who tasted these things has come to realize the sweet passions. Forsaken these passions, disdains this life. It lasts only for a time, so the life is fleeting. She leaves behind the food of falsehood, materialism, learns about the light, strips off this world, wears her true garment, which is the spiritual force, spiritual light, the spirit, The bridal gown reveals beauty, not physical beauty, but the beauty of the divine. She learns into the depth of her being. She runs into her sheepfold as her shepherd. She receives 10,000 times as much grace and glory. The reverse is also true. Those who wish to impose their ills upon others against the free will of you or I or anyone else, forcibly creates karma tenfold worse than that which is imposed on another against their will. The same applies when you come out of ignorance. The divine and the grace and the glory that you will experience is tenfold greater than that which you thought were the pleasures of the material. So the reverse also applies there. Okay, the soul has a true shepherd. The soul returned the body to those who had given it to her. This is physical detachment from the body, not necessarily death, because then the person, this is saying that they regard it as a vessel only. Those who deal in bodies sat down and wept, for they had this is the only commodity they had over that particular being. They pained to shape the body for this soul. They did not realize the soul has an invisible spiritual body. They thought, we are her shepherd and we feed her. She knows another way hidden from them. A true shepherd taught her in knowledge. Okay, that is the end of the chapter. I thought the previous one was. But I hope you enjoyed that. It's really interesting. It's they're repeating the same message for you to become the second coming, as this slide is asking you to become. It's all about persistence. It's find the path, your own passage, and persist, and persist. Persistence is faith. It's not an easy path to take, but become that. Go into that bridal chamber, wear your true garments, have that revelation, and remember that is the true path. That's the only thing you will take away with you. Detach from the body, not disregard the body. You must use and look after this physical vessel, because it's what supports you in this physical experience. So it must be healthy, it must be looked after and nurtured. But the spirit is who you are, and don't attach to the nature of the body and the physicality of what exists around us. Okay, and Mahanji, this is asking you to become what it is that you seek and practice through persistence, and not just do rituals. Go to church because it's something that you need to be seen to do. Perform practices because it's drawn from your spirit. Remember the Trinity. The Trinity is the spirit, the heart, the mind, through the vessel and the shaft of the body. That is the spirit. That is the Holy Triune, the Trinity, in another respect. So I want to say thank you guys for listening to this. I'll just put myself back on there. I lost myself there. Thank you again for listening to this. I truly appreciate your time. And look forward to the videos, because I'm going to do a lot more. I'm probably going to do maybe 2 tomorrow. So to catch up on some lost time, and a few more, maybe a couple more in the week as well. So I'd say thank you again for listening. Take care of yourselves, and perform your own practice. Sit, meditate silently, reflect on everything that you hear from me and others, because everyone has something to say that is relevant and is important. How you perceive and how you resonate with that is your own discernment. So sit silently, ask the silence of the divine to assist you, ask for your guides and the spirit to assist you, to come around you and assist you and show you the signs, synchronicities, numbers, symbol and events to draw you towards your path. When you find your intention, which is what everybody has, you'll find the life will just seamlessly fall in front of you, of ease and grace, love, prosperity and abundance that you need to fulfill it. It's when we draw away from that is when life starts to become difficult. We're not here to have difficult lives. Difficult lives occur when we move into the material realm on this side. But if we stay within the spiritual and found our intention and follow that forward, allow the divine to give, to just lay that path out in front of us and follow it, everything will be brought to you with ease. We obviously need to have some experiences in life to learn more about ourselves, but we're not here to suffer. Okay, so thank you so much again, and God bless to you all.